Welcome back to Voices in Publishing. I'm Alex.
And I'm Jordan. Today we're diving into a fascinating topic, the audiobook market in the United States and the UK. How are they similar? Where do they differ? And what does the future hold?
Exactly. Audiobooks are booming everywhere, but the dynamics on each side of the Atlantic are surprisingly different. Let's start with the basics. Size.
In the US, the audiobook market is huge. We're talking over $2 billion annually and still growing by double digits every year. It's become one of the fastest growing segments in publishing.
Yeah, in fact, more than half of American audiobook listeners are under 45, which shows how much younger audiences are driving demand. And it's also tied to commuting culture. Long car rides, podcasts, and then audiobooks naturally slotting in.
Compare that to the UK. It's a smaller market, obviously, closer to 200 to 300 million pounds, but still expanding steadily. And interestingly, UK listeners are more evenly spread across age groups. You've got younger digital-first listeners, but also a strong middle-aged audience who've migrated from radio dramas and BBC audio plays.
That's such a good point. Americans often binge long audiobooks during road trips or while stuck in traffic. The car culture really fuels the market.
Meanwhile, in the UK, commuting is shorter on average. Think trains and buses. So listeners tend to consume audiobooks in smaller bursts. That shapes the types of books that work well. Crime thrillers, cozy mysteries, and literary fiction do really well in Britain.
Whereas in the States, self-help, business, and big fantasy series dominate. Americans love investing 40 hours into an epic saga.
Now, narration. That's another interesting cultural difference. In the US, listeners expect highly polished performances, sometimes with multiple voice actors, sound effects, almost like a movie.
Totally. But in the UK, there's a stronger tradition of a single narrator carrying the whole book. And often it's a respected stage or screen actor, someone with that BBC voice that immediately commands attention.
Exactly. The UK still leans into that intimate, almost theatrical storytelling, while the US is pushing the boundary of audiobooks as cinema.
Platform-wise, Audible dominates both markets, but there are some differences. In the US, Audible is practically synonymous with audiobooks. If you're not on Audible, you're invisible.
In the UK, Audible is big, but there's also BookBeat, Scribd, and libraries offering digital lending through apps like BorrowBox. Public libraries play a much stronger role in Britain's audiobook culture.
And let's not forget pricing. American listeners are used to the subscription credit model, one audiobook per month. In the UK, there's more price sensitivity, so shorter works and bundles are attractive.
So where's it all going? I think in the US, we'll keep seeing more production value. Celebrity narrators, full casts, maybe even AI-assisted enhancements.
Yeah, and in the UK, I think growth will come from diversity of content. More indie publishers and more niche genres getting into audio. Plus, the influence of podcasts is strong. Short-form, episodic audiobooks might really take off.
It's exciting. And at the end of the day, the differences come down to culture. Americans treat audiobooks like blockbusters. The British treat them like intimate performances.
Well said. That's a wrap on today's episode of Voices in Publishing.
If you enjoyed this chat, don't forget to follow us for more insights on the book world, from prints to pixels to sound waves.
Thanks for listening and happy listening wherever you are on whichever side of the Atlantic.